In a world where dreams often die before they are even born, there was one woman who refused to let hers go. Her name was Lily. She wasn't famous. She wasn't rich. She wasn't even supposed to succeed. She was just a single mother, working day and night to keep food on the table. And somehow, she built one of the most inspiring fashion brands in the world. This is her story. The story of how love, pain, and perseverance turned an ordinary woman into an extraordinary force of change. Lily grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Chicago. Her parents were immigrants who worked long hours in factories, barely making enough to cover rent. Their apartment was small, always filled with the smell of oil and dust that clung to their clothes when they came home from work. Her childhood wasn't filled with luxury. She didn't have expensive toys, brand new clothes, or big birthday parties. But she had something else. Something that mattered more than she could have known at the time. Curiosity. When her mother came home from the factory, she sometimes brought scraps of fabric. Pieces that were too small to use in production, but too beautiful to throw away. Lily would gather them like treasure, smoothing the wrinkles with her small hands, imagining all the things they could become. She would sit for hours, stitching little dresses for her dolls. The seams were crooked. The patterns didn't match. Sometimes the fabric tore because her fingers weren't strong enough. But every time she finished one, her eyes sparkled with pride. For her, sewing wasn't just play. It was escape. It was magic. It was her way of creating beauty in a world that often felt gray. By the time she was a teenager, her dream was clear. She wanted to become a fashion designer. She wanted to study design. To see her creations on runways, in magazines, maybe even in stores one day. She used to stand in front of boutique windows downtown, pressing her face to the glass, imagining her name on the labels. But life had other plans. In her senior year of high school, Lily got pregnant. The father, a boy who had once promised her the world, disappeared the moment responsibility arrived. He stopped answering calls, stopped showing up, and in the end, left her with nothing but disappointment. Her parents were heartbroken. Her friends drifted away. Teachers who once encouraged her now only shook their heads in silence. At 18, Lily's world collapsed before it even began. Instead of chasing her dream, she was left holding a newborn baby in her arms. Raising a newborn alone was brutal. Her days blurred into nights filled with diapers, bottles, and exhaustion. She tried to stay in school, but it was too much. She dropped out. Bills piled up. Rent notices arrived. The landlord knocked on the door too many times. She took 2 jobs, a waitress in the mornings, a cashier in the evenings. Her feet ached from standing all day. Her hands were rough from constant work. Her eyes were heavy with fatigue, but she had no choice. She lived in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. The walls were thin, the windows drafty. Sometimes there wasn't enough money for food. On those nights, she skipped meals, making sure her baby had enough. And many nights, when her son was finally asleep, she would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, silent tears rolling down her face, wondering how everything had gone so wrong, so fast. Society whispered in her ear, "Your life is over. You're just another single mom. You'll never amount to anything." But Lily held on to one thing. Every night, after her baby was asleep, she pulled out her old sewing machine. She stitched. She designed. She dreamed. It was madness. How could a broke single mom imagine building a fashion empire? But in those quiet, secret moments, she felt alive. She felt like herself again. One evening, Lily sewed a simple floral dress for herself. It wasn't perfect. The stitching was uneven. The fabric was cheap, but she wore it proudly the next day. At the grocery store, a stranger stopped her. "Excuse me, where did you buy that dress?" Lily froze. For the first time in years, someone saw her not as a tired mother, but as a creator. She smiled and whispered, "I made it." That night, she gathered her courage. She posted a picture of the dress on Instagram. She didn't expect much. Maybe a few likes from old classmates. But the next morning, her inbox had a message. "Can you make one for me? I'll pay." It was just a small order, but it lit a fire inside her. If one person wanted her work, maybe others would too. Slowly, she began sewing custom dresses at night, selling them online. $10 here, $20 there. It wasn't much, but it was hope. Success wasn't glamorous. It was messy, painful, exhausting. Customers complained about late deliveries. Some demanded refunds. Her old sewing machine broke down constantly. Her friends laughed. "You think you're going to build a brand? Be serious, Lily, you're a single mom. Focus on getting a stable job." But Lily refused to quit. Every angry email crushed her spirit. Every kind review healed it again. On the nights she wanted to give up, she would look at her son's sleeping face, and she would whisper, "I'm doing this for you." Then, one magical day, everything changed. A fashion blogger bought one of her dresses. She posted a picture with the caption, "Obsessed with this handmade design." Lily's phone exploded. In 24 hours, she received 500 orders. She couldn't believe it. Excitement turned to panic. She had no team, no system, no money to buy supplies in bulk. She cried in frustration. She was ready to shut it all down. But then she remembered the promise she had made to herself. Never give up. She borrowed money, rented a tiny studio, hired her first helper. She worked harder than ever, sewing until sunrise, but now she wasn't invisible. Now she was building something real. Year after year, Lily's brand grew. She launched a small website, expanded her designs, slowly gained recognition. Her story touched people. Customers weren't just buying clothes. They were buying courage, resilience, belief. Her name began appearing in magazines. Investors called, celebrities wore her designs, and then the invitation came. New York Fashion Week, the stage she had once only dreamed of. Walking down that runway, holding her son's hand, tears filled her eyes. She remembered the eviction notices, the rejection, the loneliness, and now cameras flashed. Reporters shouted her name. Her brand shone under the brightest lights in the world. But success came with sacrifice. She missed birthdays, school plays, family dinners. She carried guilt, wondering if her son resented her. But one day, he looked at her with pride. "Mom, you're my hero." That was the moment she knew. It was all worth it. Her fashion brand became global. Stores opened in Paris, Milan, Tokyo. What began with scraps of fabric in a cramped apartment had turned into a symbol of hope for dreamers everywhere. Lily's story isn't just about fashion. It's about resilience, about refusing to let circumstances define you. It's about fighting for a dream when the world tells you to give up. She was once a poor single mother no one believed in. Today, she is living proof that the most extraordinary success often grows from the most ordinary pain. So if you ever feel like your dream is impossible, remember Lily. Remember the girl who stitched her way out of struggle and into history. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this.